Say thank you to everybody for being out here. Sherry, it's great seeing you and everybody in the audience, and many folks that understand the importance of Rockford Rescue Mission. I'm going to tell you, my father for a couple of decades actually ran Home Sweet Home Mission in Bloomington, and Home Sweet Home Mission is a lot like Rockford Rescue Mission. It's the idea of giving people an opportunity, not just a meal, not just a place to stay, but taking people and giving them an opportunity to make a better life, to have a better way. And so I was raised in this environment. I remember as a kid going to the Home Sweet Home Mission all the time, and helping out and volunteering and serving meals and talking with folks that utilize the services, and seeing so many great stories of success. And it's a model of success. It's a model that I would love to see copied all over the world, frankly, and all over the country, to help people that need the help. And it's also great seeing, and that's what I love about the Rockford Rescue Mission, is the environment that I was raised in, and seeing you guys do very, very well. And you have a facility that's incredible. You have a staff that's incredible that I met when I was here a few months ago. And you have a community that's very supportive of the cause and very supportive of the mission. Without the community support, this mission would never be possible. Without the community support, the lives that are changed from Rockford Rescue Mission would never be changed. And so that's why this is a great community, nonprofit partnership. And that's why I'm honored to have read into the congressional record a declaration honoring the 50th anniversary of the Rockford Rescue Mission. And I'd like to read that and then present that to you, and then turn it over for you if you have any comments. House of Representatives celebrating the Rockford Rescue Mission's 50th anniversary, from the Honorable Adam Kinzinger. I don't refer to myself as the Honorable, but it says it on here. So, of Illinois, in the House of Representatives on Monday, April 7th, 2014. Mr. Kinzinger of Illinois. Mr. Speaker, it's an honor to rise today in celebration of the Rockford Rescue Mission, which is set to celebrate its 50th anniversary this May. Mr. Ray Stewart rented a building in 1964 in downtown Rockford in order to establish the Rockford Rescue Mission. There was a sign on the door that read, "All are welcome here, the alcoholic, the addict, the stranger, the sojourner, the pilgrim, the poor. There's hope for all who enter here." This important work continues 50 years later, and I'm proud of the service that they've provided to the many constituents of Illinois' 16th Congressional District. The Rockford Rescue Mission is open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They serve Rockford and the surrounding communities by providing prevention and recovery services for addiction, abuse, and destructive relations. They are also the primary provider for meals and shelter in northern Illinois, and are able to provide these services with private donations from individuals, foundations, businesses, organizations, and churches. None of this would be possible without the tremendous help of the over 500 volunteers who contribute nearly 45,000 hours throughout the year. That's incredible to me. During the Rockford Rescue Mission's 2013 fiscal year, they served over 160,000 meals, provided over 58,000 beds for lodging, distributed over 159,000 items, facilitated over 10,000 counseling sessions, and served over 2,500 clinic patients. The City of Rockford and surrounding communities can take pride in the Rockford Rescue Mission, which gives back to the community so willingly. I'd like to congratulate all the volunteers who've helped this organization over the past 50 years, and I encourage them to continue their important service. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Illinois 16th District of Illinois, I wish to express our appreciation for Rockford Rescue Mission's impressive service to the community and to their diligent work. That's what I read into the record, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to all the volunteers, to the leadership here. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you to this great community. I'm honored to be part of it. I'm honored to be here today celebrating 50 years, and hopefully this is just the beginning of the next 50 years. So on behalf of the U.S. Congress, I present you what we read into the congressional record. And Sherry, thank you so much for your fantastic leadership.
Big deal. Thank you, Congressman Kinzinger, for this special recognition of the mission's 50th anniversary milestone. I was thinking on the way in this morning, it's really meaningful because you've made it personal. You didn't stick this in the mail. You didn't ask us to come and pick it up. But you have a lot of demands on your time and priorities. And the fact that you made this a priority today says a lot to me, and I think the group here, about who you are and what you value. We did enjoy a tour several months ago, as was said, and it was very comfortable because I knew obviously you were familiar with rescue mission work in and out, but I was confident when you left that day that you understood the people that we serve, and that means a lot too. And it's a good feeling to know that we have someone in Washington who is representing all of us, and even the least of these, as Scripture says. So, even though your dad is no longer the executive director at Home Sweet Home in Bloomington, you're a part of the Rockford Rescue Mission family now. So there's an open invitation. You can come with Jared anytime. And obviously there will always be a bed and no waiting
All
room.
right.
So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
God and the great faith that both Ray Stewart and my in-laws had as founding the ministry, and just realizing there was a need and meeting that need, and that God would supply that need. And obviously the generosity of tens of thousands of people in this community, as was referred to. You were asking me before we started, we had last year 20,000 donors who gave $4.5 million. That's individuals primarily, businesses and churches, and then also, as referred to by Congressman Kinzinger, just the volunteer that are the extension of the hands and feet of our staff, and lots of prayer. So,
I just want to add something on top of that. I think it's amazing that even when we had a terrible, I mean, the economy's not doing well now, we know this, but when we had the terrible economic downturn, people were still giving to organizations. Mm-hmm. And at a time when it's really easy to say, and that's the tough thing in non-for-profit, is the time when you need the help the most, that's when people say, I got to save my own money. And, to be able to stay afloat and to have a community that still reaches deep. The other thing I wanted to say, and I was going to say this in my opening, but I forgot. I love coming to the Rockford Rescue Mission, and I love the mission of the mission, because in my job every day, I think the word compassion on either side of the aisle just gets lost, and it becomes this battle about, this and this, and I oppose this or I support this. And I think in the process of all that, we lose the idea of compassion, and that there are people that don't pay attention to the news every day, but need help and need an opportunity, and they want to get their life together. And so when I come here, it just kind of recages me to what really matters, which is that.
So your dad ran that mission for 20 years?
Yeah, he retired just a few years ago, and he ran it from when I was in 6th grade on, and before that for 3 years he ran the Southside Mission in Peoria. So basically from my 3rd grade on, my father was the executive director of the mission, and knew Sherry very well, and the family, and the mission of both of them are actually quite similar.
and I remember when we were on Madison Street, the board allowed us to visit 10 to 12 missions before we built this mission. Home Sweet Home was one that we visited, and as has been said, we got to meet Russ, Congressman Kinzinger's father. And I remember driving back that day to our building on Madison thinking, wow, when we grow up, I want to be just like Home Sweet Home. So it was a memorable experience going and meeting his father and just seeing the work that was being done there in Bloomington. Great mission.
And the interesting thing is, if you met my dad, you wouldn't think he was my dad because he's about a foot taller.
I know, really, yeah.
But he is my dad, I assure you. I got the short gene in the Kinzinger.
His name was Russ?
Russ, yep.
Russ.
1S.
1S?
Yep. Does anybody else have any questions for?
Well, since you're in Congress, and we do have an economic lull that doesn't seem to be getting too much better. The unemployment rate's pretty high around here, so you have more homelessness, you have more people who aren't making it and may turn to other means to get them through the day. I know that as a Christian mission, you're not talking about government funds, but there almost seems to be sometimes a reluctance, and I don't know where I'm going with this actually, but how can we encourage more of this?
Well, look, I think frankly, media covering this event today is important. That's why I think it's great for people to be out here and people to see things. A lot of the times you hear of the Rockford Rescue Mission and say, oh yeah, they take care of folks that need it, but you don't necessarily say, well, you know what, I should be part of that. And so the limited level I can from the pulpit I have or from the dais I have is just to say to the community, hey, if you have any extra money, pull it out and give it to the Rockford Rescue Mission. Help them out with doing what they do. A lot of people are busy, they can't come out and volunteer, but they can help out there. Look, government has a role, I think, in ensuring a social safety net for people, and I'm supportive of it. I think you have to walk the fine line between a social safety net and creating a way of life, and that's always a battle that both sides are fighting. But I think the great thing about America, frankly, is if you look at the generosity of Americans, we blow out of the water the generosity of other industrialized nations. You see, we have a low tax rate comparatively, but people give a lot more than you see in other countries. And so Rockford Rescue Mission is just one of the recipients of that generosity. And so I think the more we can bring attention to the mission here, the more we can get the community involved, I think the better the service can be provided, the more people can be served, and continue that great legacy for another 50 years.